What's up, studs? How y'all doing? Carl here, Bulls on Wall Street. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. It is Wednesday. It's Fed day, so I'm done for the day. Usually on Fed day, I like to trade the mornings and then bail because once the interest rate decisions and all this stuff goes, there's 3 or 4 shakeouts in the market. So I like to kind of make my money and bail. I want to talk to you a little bit about cool intraday setup, but we traded today. So this CLVS, we took this thing for a short trade based on the fact that it had gone really parabolic and had run for 6-7 days into the gap fill, into resistance here on its daily chart. And so we were playing for the reversal. This is a really simple setup here. And so you've got a really extended stock that's running into resistance on its daily. And, what we did on this, I didn't trade it too heavy, but we made a couple $1,000, shorting some of these biotechs on a really, really simple setup here. And based on the fact that the daily charts really extended, and then intraday, what we're doing with this thing is essentially looking for opportunities where we can get a nice resistance point to manage our risk. And so CLVS gave us that. You can see what happened here is, it's been going up every day for the last week. And so today it had an exhaustion gap, right? You can see that gap, gave it the exhaustion gap. So once I see that gap and it's hitting resistance on its daily chart, I know I'm looking to short. And so the key is to get like a really, really solid intraday setup where your risk is managed. Like you can't just short it in the hole, right? You can't just short in the hole. You've got to have a way to manage your risk, because if you short it too low at 36, right, your stop's got to be kind of up here or above the VWAP. You're going to risk a lot. And so, we use an intraday double top to kind of get into the stock, meaning, as this thing came down to 36, kind of the support level, once it popped up and made a lower high, that's our area to really want to short this thing. So, I like to let it come up, and then as soon as I get like a red candle, that'll kind of give me the confirmation that that's your level. And then, I can use a stop like, right above here and ride this thing down. And then it's just a matter of managing your trade, looking for reasons to sell a stock. Like what are some reasons you would get out of a stock? One would be that the gap fills, and so you're kind of hitting your targets, scaling out. And then, you kind of get out of the rest when you start to reverse. But a pretty simple setup that I use all the time. The key is to always remember like your daily charts, right? Like, a lot of people wanted to short this thing early. Like, you heard the other day, like people wanted to short it here and here and here. And it's not ready, because how you got to look at your charts is like magnets, okay? And so when you have like key levels, or you have gaps that need to be filled or need to get to, what you've got to do is understand that these levels are going to be magnets. And so you're going to slowly drift up till you get to that level. And, you don't want to be in too early, because then your risk is up. You've got too much space from where you short and where the magnet is. And so you've got to use the right level. And so all your main ideas always come from your daily charts, right? That's your big picture. And then we'll use our intraday techniques to nail our entry. So that's something that, we do every day. As you guys probably know, I'm trading live in front of my students every day in our chat room. Also for my bootcamp students, we are just starting our brand new 60-day bootcamp. So if any of you guys are interested in actually learning how to find these stocks and all the nitty-gritty to get into them, hit me up, and I'll make sure to answer your questions and get to you guys. When you want to think about trading or think about these setups, is like, think of a setup or a trade as, right, like a recipe, right? When you're cooking and you're reading a recipe, you have a very, very specific list of instructions of everything you need to see and do before you've got your cake baked. And if one piece of the pie or one piece of the recipe is missing, your cake doesn't taste so well. And trading is the same way. If you have a setup or a type of style or pattern, you have to have a very, very specific recipe, and you can't have even one variation from it that's missing. Otherwise, your trade's going to taste like crap, or your trade's not going to work. And so that's how I want you to really approach your trading is, you're building a cookbook. of different recipes for your different trades. And each one of those type of trades has to have a very, very specific sequence of things that you need to see and do. And only if you have that, then you can take the trade and you're going to have a high probability of actually winning. If you don't, then it just becomes a guess. And so always boil that down. For some of you new traders, you're trying to figure out, like, where do I start? Like, is this good or is that bad? There's no such thing as this good or that bad, or what do I do? You're just thinking recipe. What are the sequence of events and things I need to see before a trade can be taken? And then you'll have a very specific recipe once you're in the trade of how to manage the trade and manage your risk and so on and so forth. And so I want you to boil it down like that. And I think that's going to be a big help for you guys. So that's it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see everybody later. Take care.